in my jean jacket. Do I look like an American girl? Hello, good day. It's Gabriella Millian, your favorite soft girl guide, and today we're going to talk about American culture and why Americans are the unhappiest people I have ever met. And this is coming from someone who is technically second generation in this country. I am Latina, and I feel like that is one thing that you hear, especially in the Latino community or other immigrant communities, is this is a country built of immigrants. And people talk about that in a very positive light. And of course, there are positive aspects to being a nation with so many different cultures that come here and that want to come here for more opportunity. But when I travel to different countries, I notice the energy of that country, both positive and negative. And one thing that I always come back to when I come back to the US is, wow, people are so unhappy and unfulfilled here, even though we have everything. And sometimes we have everything in excess. And that might be part of the problem, but I'm going to talk a little bit more, put my little anthropology hat on, and talk a little bit more about culture and the subconscious that goes on with culture. Because a lot of times, you might meet people with different backgrounds, with different stories, but the subconscious culture runs or connects a lot of us. And I feel like a lot of Americans and people who come to visit or have lived here for a while also feel. So, getting back to this idea of this is a country built on immigrants. One thing that we have to understand is, okay, why did these people come here? And usually we see both extremes for people who come here. Now, my family, for the most part, did not have resources in their respective countries. My family is originally from Cuba, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. They're all of my grandparents were born in those countries. And most of them were really struggling in those countries for different reasons. You could say for political reasons, corruption, lack of resources, rationing, communism. There's so many different reasons that you could say my family was struggling. So they needed more resources, and that's why they came here. But my husband said something very interesting the other day. A lot of the people that come to this country are people who couldn't make it or who couldn't get rich in their respective countries. Because last time I checked, rich people exist in all three of those countries. My husband's family's from Ecuador, and rich people exist in that country too. You could argue that it's harder to get rich there because of whatever stipulations, whatever government rules, but rich people exist there, which means that it is doable. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, you see the exact opposite. People who had so much in their country. They were very, very rich, but it wasn't enough. And that's why they came here for more. Especially once I started getting into higher education, working in New York City, Los Angeles, the South Florida area, I started meeting a lot of people who came from wealthy backgrounds in their respective countries, but it wasn't enough. Or their parents sent them to come to school here. You might be thinking right now, wow, these people are on both opposite extremes. How can they relate to one another? What's very interesting is scarcity and greed are two emotions, feelings that they're not polar opposites, but they're kind of on the same spectrum. And when you have a culture that is built mostly off of people who are coming from a very scarce place or a greedy place, they will never be fulfilled. And this goes ancestrally. I didn't choose to move to this country. My grandparents did. And I have a lot of gratitude for them coming here. But when I see people here and when I travel the world and I'm like, wow, there are so many other people in the world that are healthier, that are happier with so much less, it leads me to question things. Why aren't people happy here? And I believe it's connected by a subconscious thread of scarcity and greed. Because ancestrally, if your family came here for either one of those reasons, it's a part of you. It's built into you. which I actually feel like is a part of the reason why during COVID, we saw a lot of Latinos going back to their country of origin. Maybe they were born in this country, but moving back to where their family's from. I was a reporter in Los Angeles during the beginning of COVID there, and I have a lot of friends there who all have a Mexican background. And I knew quite a good handful of them that were going back to Mexico because they felt happier there. They felt more relaxed. They felt more fulfilled. They felt like life was much more juicy and enriching, and the connections in the community that they were making was much more fulfilling than what they had made here, even for my friends that were born here. So I don't want to make this a super negative video on people who come to this country either have a scarcity mindset or a greedy one. Sometimes I feel like in order to become happier, in order to become more fulfilled, in order to become more content, you have to call out the elephant in the room. That's what brought most people here. Unless you're a Native American, you come from a Native American tribe, you either came here because of scarcity reasons or greed. And there really isn't any in between. And that's also part of the reason why there's a lot of imbalance in this country. This is a country of extremes, and that could maybe be another video. But I want to focus on this spectrum of scarcity and greed. If you are someone who subconsciously always feels like you are in a scarce place, like, oh, there's not enough, there's not enough, there's not enough. It's the same thing as someone who is in an overly abundant place and still feels like it's not enough. At the end of the day, you are connected by the feeling of things not being enough. So what is the antidote to that feeling of not being enough? The antidote is gratitude. I feel like once you incorporate a consistent practice of showing what you're grateful for, of actually feeling the feeling of gratitude, you don't feel so unfulfilled. This isn't to get you in the way of leveling up or continuing to learn and better yourself and seeking knowledge. This should all be a part of life. We should all be in the pursuit of wanting to better ourselves. At the same time, if you are on that pursuit and you always feel like you achieve something and then, the good feeling only lasts a couple weeks or a month, eventually you lose momentum. And this has actually been studied. What types of momentum keeps people going? There can be certain negative emotions that can create momentum. For example, maybe revenge, spite, jealousy, envy, what are some other negative emotions? Scarcity mindset. These types of things can create momentum, but they don't last as long as the momentum of gratitude. So if you want something, if you're in the pursuit of always bettering yourself and wanting to create and wanting to connect with other people who are also bettering themselves in different ways or similar ways to the way that you're trying to better yourself, you need to have a system of gratitude. And this is something that I talked about on my Instagram stories that some people were asking me about recently is, oh fudge, is he awake already? Oh no. I don't think he slept enough. Shit. New day, new outfit, another nap time. Little man ended up waking up. I got him back to sleep, but he woke up again soon after, so I wasn't able to finish the rest of the video. But we are almost done, so stick around. I believe I was talking about how implementing gratitude into your life is the antidote to stepping away from this ancestral mindset of scarcity and or greed, which is both connected by the feeling of nothing ever being enough. So gratitude, always being grateful for what you have, implementing a practice of gratitude. I know a lot of people do gratitude journals, but also sometimes if you feel like you're in a bit of a funk and it's very hard for you to get out of a negative state, sometimes stepping away, traveling and experiencing something new for a little while, you can then look back and say, oh, okay, when I go back to my normal life, I can now see things that I'm grateful for a little bit better, or you might see things that you need to change, which is totally okay too. The main thing that I've been talking about on this channel is how people can incorporate healthy lover energy. I also feel that the antidote to being swallowed up by greed and or scarcity and always feeling like nothing is enough is by incorporating healthy lover energy. Now, I'm convinced that lover energy is the energy that our society is craving the most, but in a healthy way. How do I know? If I were to go on Instagram right now and post a bikini photo of myself, I would probably get 5 to 10 times more likes than if I were to just post a little bit more modest of a photo of me wearing something like this. Why is that? Because a bikini photo might indicate a little bit more promiscuity, might indicate, oh, hey, look at my body, I feel sexy, I feel hot, all those types of things. That is on the spectrum of lover energy. You can argue whether you think that's positive, negative, or not, good for developing the self-esteem of women around the world. I'll let you decide on that. The fact that people are so drawn to it means it's not just about sexual desire. It's really lover energy. That's why pictures like that get far more engagement on social media than if I were to just, be here with my, denim romper that I'm wearing, sipping my tea without, exuding sexual energy. Like, ooh, look at my boobies, look at this, look at that, look at my curves, look at, my body. It's because people are drawn to lover energy. It's because people want more lover energy, but a lot of times people don't realize usually the types of lover energy they really want is to be more present, is to experience pleasure in everyday simple things. And this is an art that I feel every time I go to a new country, that a lot of people in other countries have this ability to just soak up and turn off and be present. And when you're able to be present, that's actually when you experience the most pleasure, the most juice, the most gratitude for your life, which is ultimately the antidote to being in a scarcity, greedy, nothing is enough mindset. So, we will definitely be talking more about lover energy on this channel, but those are a few things that you can do to kind of fix this feeling of things never being enough. And you might be thinking, you know what, I'm 4th, 5th, 6th generation, my parents came, my family came here on the Mayflower to the United States. And, I'm so many generations in, but I still have this feeling of nothing ever being enough. It's because that's what this country was built off of. But it is okay. Have no fear, because gratitude and lover energy exists for you to feel more fulfilled. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you find conversations like this very interesting. I feel like I'm gonna joke around with people and tell them, Instagram is where I do the superficial, pretty cutesy kind of videos, and YouTube is where we're gonna have deeper conversations. And if you like conversations like this, make sure to comment below, hit the like, hit the notification bell, and subscribe. And I hope to see you on the next video.
Baby, won't you talk to me?